Welcome to ProgrammingKT. Today in this tutorial I am trying to explain about exception handling. So in last video I already explained about what is exception and keywords inside exception handling and how to handle exception and types of exceptions and exceptions hierarchy. So if you did not watch that video, watch that video. So means what is exception I explained in detail. I mean exception is nothing but abnormal condition that disturbs normal flow execution of a program. What is abnormal condition and what is normal flow and what is abnormal flow I explained in detail with an example. And moreover that how many ways to handle exceptions by using try catch and throws. So which one is recommended? Try catch. Why? Because if we can handle exceptions by using try catch only, it will be normal flow. So I explained in detail with an example. So if you did not watch that video, you will get more clarity why try catch is recommended. And moreover that types of exceptions, checked exceptions and unchecked exceptions. Exceptions hierarchy. What is the root class of exception classes is throwable. Now in this video, I am trying to explain about multi-catch blocks, finally, finalize and custom exceptions. I mean how to throw custom exception. Now let me start with multi-catch block with an example. So multi-catch block is nothing but so when you are in your application, so different exceptions will rise, right, depending on that business logic. So we need to handle each exception. In that case, for each exception, alternate solution. If you want to provide, declare one separate catch block instead of only one catch block. So how to handle exceptions by using try catch? The syntax will be try following catch. So exception name corresponding reference. So this is the syntax, right? So if I can write any, there is chance of getting exception, we can wrap that code inside try block. Then immediately catch block will be executed. Here you can write some alternative code and moreover that print stack trace to find why the exception is occurred. So there may be a chance of getting arithmetic exception, index out of bound exception, null pointer exception. So if these three exceptions occurs inside try block, if there is only one catch block, then there is no sense, right? So if I want to provide alternate solution for arithmetic exception and I want to provide alternate solution for index out of bound exception, separate alternative solution, and null pointer exception also I want to provide separate alternate solution. So in that case, only one catch block it is not recommended. So for that, multi catch blocks are introduced. So let me try to explain with an example. So imagine, so here I explained these three, not only these three, more than these three also will occur. But I am trying to explain with some example. I mean, I am trying to take integer array. So integer array, I am trying to take dynamic array, creating and initializing at a time. So I am trying to take values like, so this is the integer array. Now let me try to wantedly raise, I mean these three exceptions: arithmetic exception, index out of bound exception, null pointer exception. So anyway, declaring this integer array, we can declare outside of try also, no problem. Why? Because there is no chance of getting exception at the time of creating, right? So I mean dynamic array creating. Anyway, if we can create -4 like this initialization, you will get negative array size exception. But we are trying to create here dynamic array, right? So let me try to create try block first. Try. Now let me try to move little bit up. So try block here, first exception I am trying to, if I can access elements out of, I mean here we have index numbers starts from 0, right? 0, 1 value for 1, 0 index, for value 4, 1 index, for value 8, index 2. So if I can access directly array of 3, I will get index out of bound exception, right? So for this I need to handle corresponding catch block. So for that, what I am trying to do, catch index out of bound exception E. So corresponding alternate solution for this index out of bound exception. So SOP. So here anyway I am trying to write some S out statement, but in real time we can provide some alternative solution. Alternative solution. I am trying to write some SOP statement, and moreover that E dot print is stack trace. When stack trace. So where it is exactly raised and why corresponding exception message. So if I can access index out of range of value, I mean out of index, then we will get index out of bound exception. Provide alternative solution and print stack trace. So this is about index out of bound exception I am trying to handle. Next one is, so if I can access, once the access value is accessed, I want to store. Instead of that, let me try to provide some space for explaining all three different kind of scenarios, I mean for three exceptions. So let me try to declare catch here. Catch index out of bound exception, alternative solution, and E dot print stack trace. So once the value is accessed, imagine I am trying to access 2, index 2. So index I a of 2. So I access to the value. In this case, I won't get any exception. So first case is case 1, index I am trying to access third value. Here I will get index out of bound exception. So second case I accessed the second value, I mean second index value. Then wantedly I am trying to raise I times 0. I mean I divides by 0. I am trying to provide wantedly raise arithmetic exception, division by 0 exception. So for this I want to handle corresponding catch block, alternative solution. Catch arithmetic exception, SOP of alternative solution. Want to provide, you can provide, or else you can leave it. You can handle the exception. See dot print is stack trace. And one more thing is null pointer exception, how to handle. So if I can, there is chance of, I mean inside that integer array, anyway this is wrapper class, right? So there may be chance of initializing null value also. So in that case, if I can access here int j a of 3, the index value of null is 3, right? 3. So wantedly I am trying to raise, I am trying to find that number is even or not. So I want to j modulus 2 equal to 0. So in that case, j value is null, right? At index 3, null is there. Null by 2, we will get null pointer exception. So for that also, I need to declare one catch block. So finally, exception. So you can declare null pointer also, no problem. Let me try to declare that. Null pointer directly exception also you can declare. Let me try to do the. So null pointer exception E. Some alternative solution or E dot print stack trace. And finally, if the exception index out of bound exception does not occur, arithmetic exception does not occur, null pointer exception does not occur, any other exception other than these three, I want to handle global, I mean exception, catch exception E. So here you can provide some common solution for all exceptions, common solution for all exceptions and corresponding print stack trace. So here if we can observe, if index out of bound exception, this catch block will be occurred. If arithmetic exception occurred, this catch block will be occurred. If null pointer exception, this catch block will be occurred. If there is, I mean, other than these three, common exception is exception block will be occurred. So this is the advantage. If I can handle, I mean, if I can declare only catch block, so there is no way, right, to provide common, different alternative solution for corresponding exception. Like this, if we can handle only one catch block, these three exceptions raised, I won't provide alternative solution for specific exception. By using multi-catch block, we can achieve that. And moreover, that one point you need to remember, this is mostly asked interview question, and moreover that in written test also mostly asked, which type of question, MCQ, multiple choice question. So you need to follow always order child to parent when you are trying to declare multi-catch block. Child to parent means at the time of index out of bound exception, if I can declare directly exception, this is the parent, right, exception. So if I can declare exception directly, exception here, you will get compilation error here. Exception already got been handled, and moreover that unreachable code. So this is the one point. Always order is followed from child to parent. Any exception, not only index out of bound arithmetic exception. Any exception you need to follow order child to parent, not parent to child. This is the one point you need to remember. So this is about multi-catch blocks. Next one is finally, finalize. So final is a keyword that applicable for methods. Final is a keyword that applicable for methods, variables, classes. So if a method is declared as final, override is not possible. If we declare variable as final, reassignment is not possible. If a class is declared as final, inheritance is not possible. That is about final. Next one is finally. So finally is a block at the time of exception handling. So either exception raised or not raised, by default it will be executed. I will show you when I write the code in IDE. So we can declare finally block along with try block. Finally. So if you want to do some cleanup code, so cleanup code you can write here. Database connection closing and file closing. This kind of content we can write here. Closing concept. Any resource is you opened, you want to close that, by default either exception raised or not raised inside try block, directly final block will be executed mandatory. So if the exception is raised, catch block will be executed. The exception is not raised, catch block won't executed. But finally block, if the exception is raised or not raised, finally block always executed. This is the one point you need to remember with finally. So finalize is a method that exists inside object class. So object class, this method will be invoked by JVM. So just before destroying the object. So if object is having, if the object have don't have any reference, then that is eligible for garbage collector, right? So this finalize method is invoked by JVM to clean up the, if there is a object exist that don't have any reference, then eligible for garbage collector by using finalize. So this finalize method is deprecated from JDK 1.9 onwards. This is the one point you need to remember. And moreover that custom exceptions. So inside the directly main method, I will explain you when I write the code in IDE. So directly I don't handle any exception. Directly I can print the statement inside main method. So I did not handle with the try catch block or throws. Directly I print this statement. I will get division by zero exception. Who is handling this exception? Do you know that? So JVM is responsible for creating object and printing corresponding message. So instead of that creating object by JVM itself, we can create our own objects. Custom exception handling. So once we create the object, we can deliver to JVM. So that's why one of the keyword, by using throw keyword, we can handle that custom exceptions. So in your case, imagine we have user class. So user class is having some attributes like name, email, and phone number. So these are the user class having three attributes. So I want to validate this user POSA object or DTO object. So phone number is valid or not, email is valid or not, name is valid or not. So depending on our use case, you can write validation for each and every attribute. Let me start with phone number. So if the phone number is having only 10 digits in India, then only that is the valid phone number, right? So for that, if the phone number is less than 10 or greater than 10, I want to throw some custom exception. How to do that? So for that, first we need to create class. So invalid phone number exception. So that extends, this is the custom exception creation process I am trying to explain. So this is my custom exception class name, invalid phone number exception that extends runtime exception. So exception also no problem, but runtime exception is always recommended. That is the best programming practice. Once you extend your custom exception with runtime exception, then you need to declare some custom, I mean constructor, not custom, this custom class constructor. Invalid phone number exception corresponding message, then you need to pass that message to super class. Runtime runtime class will pass to super class. I will show you when I write the code. Super of message. So then this message will be printed in corresponding format. So now let me try to throw that custom exception. So here JVM is creating the object and printing corresponding message. So here in this case, when I am validating the user object, so if the user u dot phone number dot length, I am trying to take string as a phone number as string. So length less than 10 or phone number greater than 10. If it is less than 10 or greater than 10, I will throw custom exception. Throw new, this is my custom exception class, right? I am trying to create object for this. New invalid phone number exception with corresponding message. Invalid phone number, I will write some exception. Now this is custom exception handling. So here I created my custom exception class that extends runtime exception with corresponding constructor. So when I am trying to validate the user object phone number field, I am trying to throw the custom exception by using throw keyword. So throw keyword is used here. If you can observe here, I am trying to create exception object on my own. I did not, I mean JVM is not created here, but here JVM is created object by JVM itself. But here I am trying to create by using new keyword with corresponding class by using throw keyword. Throw and new keyword and corresponding my exception class name. I am trying to create and I will delegate to JVM. Then JVM will print that corresponding message. Now let me try to explain all this by writing some examples inside IDE. Now let me try to explain about multi-catch blocks finally, and moreover that custom exception handling. Let me start with multi-catch blocks. So for that I am trying to create one integer array, integer a. I am trying to declare values like dynamic array. I am trying to create it. Then I am trying to access the value a of 2. So in this case I won't get any error. I got the value 7. So if I can access value 4 or 3 also, I will get array index out of bound exception. So I need to handle this exception with some alternative solution or by printing this stack trace also. For that first I need to wrap that code. What is the, there is chance of getting exception in that corresponding line code, I mean line of code, I need to wrap in with try catch block. So try block and corresponding exception catch block. So try catch. So what is the exception? Array index out of bound exception. So array index out of bound exception corresponding object reference. So here I will provide some alternate solution. So, but anyway, here I am trying to write some message only. So along with print, I mean corresponding message also, if you want, I can write here. So e dot get message. What is the message? And stack trace also, if you want, you can print it. Now let me try to run. So I handled the exception. So with now, once the exception is raised at line number 8, immediately it will jump into catch block. So inside that catch block, I wrote some alternative solution s out and corresponding message index 4 out of bound exception length 3. So this is index out of bound exception. Now let me try to handle division by 0 exception, that is arithmetic exception. So if I can, once the value is accessed, let me try to do separate for that. So int I'm trying to declare value is I a of 2. Then what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to wantedly raise arithmetic exception I by 0. Now let me try to execute. So I did not get any exception, right? Why? Because I did not handle division by 0 exception. Now let me try to handle that. So let me try to copy this catch block and update that exception name. So if you can, if you are trying to handle duplicate catch block, you will get compilation error. So unreachable code. Instead of array index out of bound exception, I am trying to write arithmetic exception. Now it will be executed. First of all, I need to comment out here, or I need to write proper code. So array of one index, that will be 4. Now I got the alternative solution for division by 0. Next, so alternative solution for here, I can write some array index out of bound exception. Array index out of bound exception, alternative solution for, then it will be more understandable. And one more thing is alternative solution for arithmetic exception. Now let me try to raise null pointer exception. So anyway, here I won't raise any exception, I mean arithmetic exception. Anyway, I already shown. Now let me try to raise null pointer exception. So here wantedly I am trying to provide some null value, and I want to check that number is even or not. So by 2 equal to 0, then only it will print true, right? So in that case, what I am trying to provide I value here 0, 1, 2, 3. Wantedly I want to raise null pointer exception. So here I got the null pointer exception. So this one also I need to handle. So instead of arithmetic, null pointer exception, alternative solution for, I think it is already handled on arithmetic, I mean itself. So line number 9. Now let me try to run, then we will. So anyway, it is handled on null pointer exception here itself. Previously it is taking from arithmetic exception itself, I think. Now array index out of bound exception is not, I mean null pointer exception, it is not, I mean matched here. Arithmetic exception also not matched. Null pointer exception is matched, and corresponding catch block will be executed for null pointer exception. So array of at index 3 is null. So you can provide some alternative solution if it is null. And finally exception. So if there is, I mean n number of exceptions, so once the possible scenarios and corresponding exceptions you already handled with multiple catch blocks, at finally you can provide parent class, that is exception. So alternative solution for all exceptions. So now any exception other than these three, I mean array index out of bound exception, arithmetic, null pointer. If any exception other than these three, catch block will be executed. So that is for, last, I mean parent exception catch block. So the order is you need to follow. I already explained, right? So when you are trying to work with multi-catch blocks, order is important. Instead of array index out of bound exception, directly I can replace with exception. So I will get compilation error, unreachable code. See here, all catch blocks are providing compilation error. So unreachable block, arithmetic exception is already handled by catch block, exception. So that is the one important point you need to remember. Order is child to parent, not parent to child. And moreover that finally, let me try to create one final block finally. So finally is a block in exception handling. So either exception raised or exception does not raised finally will be executed by default. Let me try to write some sys out, then you will get some clarity. So finally block. So here exception is raised, null pointer exception along with final block is executed. So if the exception is not raised also final block is executed. Let me show you that. So instead of that null value I am trying to provide 8. In that case I did not get any any exception here. So arithmetic exception no, array index out of exception is not occurred, arithmetic not occurred, null pointer not occurred, exception also not occurred, but finally block is executed. So one point you need to remember, either exception is occurred or not inside a try block, finally block always executed. That is the one point you need to remember. So, but if the exception occurs in try block, then only corresponding catch block will be executed. Otherwise, catch blocks won't execute. This is also one more point. So that's about final keyword I already explained. Final is a keyword applicable for variables, methods, classes. This is about finally. Next one is finalize. Finalize is a method that exists inside object class. I already explained, right? Let me open documentation about object class. So object class. So object class have 11 methods, right? So one of the method is finalize. It is deprecated since JDK 1.9 onwards. So this method is executed to destroy the object if there is no reference. Let me show you the documentation. So garbage collected, finalize is invoked by garbage collector. If an object when the garbage collection determines that there is no more references, if the object don't have any reference, then finalize method will be invoked by garbage collector, so to remove that free up that memory space. So this is about finalize. So that is about finally, finalize. Next one is custom exception. So custom exception is nothing but, so if you want to throw your own exception, in that case custom exception is useful. Let me try to create one custom exception class. I am trying to provide invalid phone number, or so instead of that let me try to negative array size exception. So anyway, when I'm initializing array with negative number, let me show you that. So int primitive or wrapper, whatever it may be, depending on your requirement you can create, no problem. So int new int of some dynamic value, array size I want to provide some dynamic value, n is some 12. I am trying to provide that number, I am trying to provide here, array size. So if the number is negative number, I will get negative array size exception, right? So here anyway, here a compilation error is there. So I will get negative array size exception -12. So here who is creating exception object and its corresponding parent class, it is providing one. JVM is creating corresponding exception negative array size exception object and providing to main method. Main method will print corresponding, main method will provide to its parent class, not parent class, no, parent exception class, like whatever it may be, throwable exception, this kind of parent classes, corresponding parent class will be constructor will be executed. Let me show you that hierarchy. So instead of that creating object by JVM itself, I will create my own exception object and I will delegate. Let me show you that. class negative size exception. So this is my own negative size exception, my own exception class extends runtime exception. Then I am trying to create one constructor. So with corresponding string message I can pass here string message. So this is the point I am trying to explain. So by default JVM will create object for negative size array exception, it is printing. So instead of that I will create exception object and I will delegate. Let me show you that how it is. So if the number is negative before initializing I am trying to throw the exception. So if n value is less than 0 I am trying to throw the new custom exception throw. So that is the usage about throw keyword. Throw new my class. What is my class name here? Negative size exception. Throw new negative size exception with corresponding message name. So negative, not negative array size, negative number that can't used as array size. So any exception you can throw like this, your custom exception. Now here line number 8 itself I am trying to throw the exception. Let me try to run it. Now instead of this minus 12 I will get this message. So you are getting here, right, negative number that can't be used as array size. This is my exception name. Now how it will be executed and how it is passing, let me show you that. So here I am creating my exception object, with new keyword with along with the throw keyword along with new. I am trying to create my custom class, custom exception class object with corresponding message. Now it will goes to here. So here I am trying to provide, trying to class its parent class constructor by using super of corresponding message. What is the parent class of negative size exception? This is my custom class runtime exception. Click on the super, it is goes to runtime. Runtime is calling super, again it is going to exception also calling super throwable. This is the root class of all exception class, right? That's what I'm trying to say here. So that's what previously this object is created by JVM itself, then it is passing its parent classes. Now here I am creating my own exception object. Now I am trying to pass my custom exception class constructor, then custom exception class constructor will pass to parent class. Who is parent? Runtime. Instead of runtime, exception also we can create, but it is for custom exceptions runtime exception is always recommended instead of exception class. Custom exception class constructor pass to parent class. Parent is runtime parent is exception parent is throwable. Here it is the printing the message. Here we have fill in stack trace something. Here they handled with corresponding message and returning whatever message. If we are trying to pass same message they are trying to return and print that corresponding stack trace here. So this is the hierarchy about exception printing stack trace. How to trace that from corresponding exception class to throwable. I explained in detail in front of you only. So I hope you got some clarity. Not only this negative array size. At the time of explaining on whiteboard, right, I took some user object. That one also you can consider. Like if you have user, let me try to take record user corresponding string name. Let me take two attributes, string phone number. So this is the record class. So for this, if you are trying to create object here inside main, let me try to can declare here user new user. I am trying to provide username and phone number. So username is foo and I am trying to provide phone number, some numbers. So now I want to handle exception for this user object phone number. So if user dot phone number dot length Why? Because that is the length, right? So length is less than 10 means not a valid. I am taking considering about Indian phone numbers only, not only 10. If it depending on your country code, you can decide that size of that phone number. It may be 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, depending on that requirement you can declare here. So I am trying to throw some exception. Throw. So instead of this exception, I can declare depending on our requirement. You can create n number of custom exceptions, no problem. So I am trying to create invalid phone number exception. Invalid phone number exception. So I want to create corresponding constructor. Now I will throw new invalid phone number exception. So we need to write some meaningful name. Phone number must be 10 digits. So phone number must be 10 digits. My custom exception with corresponding, this is the my user object, DTO object. For that I created invalid phone number exception. This is the warning message. Anyway, I can provide some default serial version. It will gone. So for this invalid phone number custom exception extends runtime. So at the time of checking validation, at the time of validation, I'm trying to throw, if the phone number is less than 10, I want to throw exception, my invalid phone number. Even if your phone number is greater than 10 also, you can throw. So if the phone number is exactly equal to 10, then you can accept. For greater than or less than, you can handle exceptions like this. Throw phone number must be 10 digits. If it is less than or greater than, you can provide message like this. So this is about custom exception handling. Custom exception class with corresponding constructor along with message. Not only message, you can create your own in real time. So when you are working with in real time projects in Spring Boot, you can create your own exception class with corresponding error code, message, and number of attributes you can declare, and you can handle like this. Throw new or custom exception class name corresponding parameters. Here if we have only one parameter, right? More than one also you can provide. So I hope you got some clarity on multi-catch blocks, finally, finalize, and custom exception. So if you like the content, hit on like button and subscribe Programming KT. Thanks for watching.